Hey, welcome to the conversation that's as diverse as the dogs that we adore. This is Gun Dogs and Guard Dogs, ultimate podcast dedicated to talking sense about dogs with Les Graham and Ross McCarthy. They work with all breeds of dog, but one specialises in gun dogs and the other prefers guard dogs. No flashy trends or social media hype here, just tried and true knowledge that stands the test of time. They bring you valuable insights and honest conversations about the social predator you share your home with. So here we go. About 45 minutes of gun dogs, guard dogs, good dogs, some maybe not so good dogs, and a dash of gossip.
Right, so getting away from our usual presenters this week, welcome to Gun Dogs and Guard Dogs podcast. This week hosted by me, Mic Martin. And for those who don't know me, I'm a dog trainer. I've got about 41 years experience. I've trained a few dogs, over 6,500 in 5 countries. I've worked in film and TV and in the police as a dog handler, specialist drugs dogs, firearms support, and overseas I taught military forces. So all dog trainers have massive egos, and this week there's no exception. So we've got to be a bit like that to get out in front of people. And I've got 2 special guests, Lez Graham and Ross McCarthy. The shoe's on the other foot this week, and I'm sure the listener will be waiting to hear your own opinions on all things dog. So let's start with an easy one. Start with Les. How did you start in the dog training world?
Oh my God, I was a kinesiologist first, doing. Okay. So I had my own dog when I was younger, and then when I had my horse, we were going to a show, and my friend's Labrador fell asleep on my lap, and I fell in love with it. And I said, "Yeah, I want a lab." At the time, I was working as a kinesiologist, which is between chiropractic and acupuncture, and I was doing kinesiology on dogs and horses as well. And then gun dog training my own dog, moved to New Zealand, and kind of fell into teaching the puppy class with the local dog club, the Manukau. And that was it, really. That kind of hooked me. The puppy trainer didn't turn up. I think she was sick. And they said, "You train your dog, you run training classes for kinesiology, you can do this class." And that was it. Done.
I think a lot of people who go to classes and then get a standard are then asked to, I'm just going to go and get the teas. Can you just take them for a round? Or, something will happen. Someone will be sick, like you just said. And so that's a good entry point for anyone who's thinking about doing a bit. You've got your professional dog trainer like I was, but I did all 3 because I was a member of a club as well when I was in the police. But you've hit the nail right on the head there. You were doing a bit of training and then someone was sick, so they asked the most senior in the group or the one they could trust the most. And Ross, how about yourself?
I feel a bit nervous with you in charge asking me.
I do as well.
You 2 have put a lot of people through this, so now it's your turn.
I feel a bit queasy. Well, I was just a weird kid, really. I don't know where it came from, this kind of fascination or obsession, if you like, with dogs. Family didn't really have dogs. But yeah, just always obsessed right from the outset. All I ever wanted for Christmas was a dog or dog books or anything kind of dog related. Started walking dogs belonging to other people when I was about 8, knocking on doors for £1 a walk. Then worked at Hearing Dogs for Deaf People when I was about 12 or 14. And then Aylesbury German Shepherd Dog Club when I was about 16. And then met some cool people and just sort of carried on from there, really, living the dream.
Do you describe yourself more as a behaviourist or a trainer?
Canine behaviour consultant.
Yeah.
Ooh, not even a behaviourist, huh?
Do you need to be a dog trainer to be a behaviourist, or what's
100%?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because you do get a lot of people who have done the course at Southampton University, and they've spent 4 years and they phone up and ask you for a job, and the first question you say is, "How many dogs have you named and trained?" Not your neighbour's dog. How many have you trained? And some people, they've never even owned a dog.
No.
But
We think,
what do we think about the behaviourist that's never trained a dog?
you can't do it. It's outrageous. I mean, we have people coming up to us at Crufts that have come out with an animal behaviour degree, so they're qualified animal behaviourists, not specific
Yeah.
across all animal species. We know how to deal with, and they come up and they say, can we come to you for some work experience, because actually they can't get into people's houses, they can't get a lead on a dog, and you're paying a lot of money for someone that can't help you with a degree. That's rubbish, Mick.
Well, yeah, I think we all agree on that. Right, let's get into some nitty gritty stuff. That's all too easy. Do you think the rise in so-called positive only force-free training has added to the increase in the amount of dog attacks?
Yes.
Could you tell me why, Les?
Craig, I think it would be pretty obvious, wouldn't it? I mean, if your dog, I'll give you I can give you so many examples, but an easy one is bribing a dog with food to get it off your arm. So you're rewarding it for I fancy a treat. Let's just go over and clamp my teeth around this person's arm, knowing it's going to give me a food bribe to get off it. And
I think the first time that happened,
so much.
The first time that happened to me, where the lady said, the person she'd spoken to said, when the dog lets go, when the dog lets go of your arm, give it a treat. And I said, well, why are you letting it hold your arm in the first place? She said, well, she couldn't stop it. She just said she was rewarding the behavior, which is letting go.
Yeah, not realizing they're working with intelligent creatures who go, hang on a minute, I want a treat. I'm just going to go and hump your leg until you give me a reward for stopping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do they know? I don't think they understand any of that. What do you think about that one in the old positive only force-free trainer?
Well, it started, as you know, like what, 20, 30 years ago, all this rubbish. And we've been having the same conversations for years and years and years, thinking that this wave is going to pass and people will see the light, see some common sense. And year on year, it kind of gets worse, doesn't it? And we see like now, like the larger rescue charities, things like that instead of using anything that they deem slightly aversive, they'll keep the dogs in rescue forever, or they'll kill the dog, as opposed to doing anything just sensible. And when we're talking about, kind of balance training, if you want to put that kind of spin on it, it's just the same as raising kids. It's not, we're out to dominate dogs and make their life hell. We're all in this. We've just discussed we're all in this because we love dogs. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of, we want to make their lives better. And it really frustrates me when I see people under the kind of heading of kindness and positivity making dogs' lives worse and making them suffer for a great deal longer, thinking they're being kind and lovely and they're not. So I find it quite frustrating. And I'm surprised I'm not on blood pressure tablets.
You can see the pressure going up, like we're both getting really
I think so. What I was going to say next is if the term is called positive only and we don't agree with it, does that make us cruel? Because
I think
as soon as you say, well, no, it's not positive. We can talk about plus P, negative R, minus P. The punter doesn't understand any of that. We need to probably learn those things because we want to pass an exam, and we want to get qualified. So when I did my diploma course, then you need to know about shaping, chaining, all the rest of the stuff. But the punter doesn't want to know that, and certainly from a competitive side, working trials, the best of the working sports. You need to know how to do the jumps, how to do a dumbbell, retrieve, how to track, how to search. But I hate the idea. Someone recently, I'm training JVS's new puppy, and he's. I said, "Oh, you must have had quite a few hits this week. I think you've probably had over 1,000 people." And he looked on his thing. He went, "I've had 10,000 on Instagram." He said, "I've had 15,000 on Facebook." And I thought, oh, I'll have a quick look. First thing that someone said was, "Oh, Mic Martin, that dinosaur, probably your badge would be a dinosaur with a check chain on it." And I
Oh,
thought,
for God's sake.
what's that got to do with the way, And I said to him, we've never used anything like that. It's a little puppy. It's a little gun dog puppy. We're using a lot of food, but we are teaching the leave it. So if you look at that, is that, yeah, it's a positive P, I suppose, with a bit of this and a bit of that. But does that make us wrong?
The problem is, I mean, largely, like you've just said, most of what we do is positive reward-based training. That is what we do, right? So we are positive reward-based trainers. And we always start off, I mean, you're not going to put a check chain, a blinking prong collar on a puppy, are you? Or whatever else. Of course you're not. We do everything as gently and as kindly as we can. But when you see you're dealing really with the arse end of dogs and people at times, you go and see severe behavioural issues, most likely now that have been compounded by people that have gone in with ineffective training methods with their chicken, and it doesn't cut it. So when you're the last chance saloon, can we keep this dog alive? Can you stop it doing what it's doing? Yes, I can. Can you do that with a bit of cocktail sausage? No, sorry, I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think with our experience, we're probably confident as well in what we do, and we're confident in telling people that what we're about to do isn't cruel. What we're going to do is we're going to set some boundaries out there, and he's not going to do that, and he's not going to do that, and he's not going to do that, but he's going to do plenty of this instead. And like you just said, your man who goes in with, his bit of chicken or offers a treat to let go of the arm, which is just so wrong. And I think those people that sort of spout that stuff out, there's hundreds of them out there. I've come across so many, and they've been to 5 people, and none of them have ever said this, or none of them have ever said that, because I don't know, maybe they're too scared to say it.
I think they just don't know, to be honest. They just don't know.
I think there's too much. There's too much reliance on like the influencers and the influencer, rather influential dog trainers. So they're looking at these videos which are just acting and taking lots and lots of takes and going, oh well, they managed to get the dog to do that with a bit of chicken, but not looking at real dogs and not looking at real handling. And I think that's in some ways I feel sorry for them, because they're going to end up getting seriously bait if they think they can take that technique into a situation where they're up against a really aggressive dog. They're going to get really hurt. And
I don't think they
worry
actually
about them.
take those jobs on. I'm not sure that they actually, when someone calls in, I don't know, but I always think this exactly the same thing. What are you going to do if you've got a proper dog in front of you?
Yeah.
You're going to get hurt. Go on, offer him a treat. XL bully or something sitting in front of you. You're going to get hurt. Seriously hurt.
I'm surprised people don't get hurt more often. I mean, when you talk to a lot of these people that are going around doing this job, and you compare that to some of the places you go into with the dogs that you see, you just think, how have you not, lost a limb or something?
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about diet. So, do you give advice about diet? I do 3 main areas. I've been doing that for a long time: diet, breed-specific behaviour, canine interaction. So how you interact with the dog in the house, breed-specific behaviour, German Shepherd versus Cockapoo, diet. So do you think there's a connection between diet and poor behaviour?
Yeah, I do, for sure. I mean, I think like we always take like a real sort of holistic approach to everything. So looking at the whole dog, so not just like, the behavior problem or the training issues or whatever that are presented. It's looking at, improving the life of that dog across the board, isn't it? And I think what the veterinary profession have done is quite remarkable, that they've managed to kid everybody into thinking that this processed, cereal-based, cheap, filled bag of whatever is a good thing we should be doing for our dogs. They've convinced people that that is the best thing we can be doing for the health and longevity of our dogs, which is absolutely bizarre. But luckily, I mean, tables are turning a little bit, and I think people, because they're aware of their own diet, we're all, we know we shouldn't have McDonald's every day, don't we? That's not rocket science. And actually, when you present clients now with fresh food, of course we don't have dog food and human food. It's food. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feed your dog, give it food. And now I think people are kind of like, okay, cool. And actually, when you see, I mean, we used to have a lot of dogs fed on bakers. I mean, they'd phone up, people would phone up and say, oh, my dog's doing, chasing its tail or, bonkers. What do you feed it on? Oh, bakers. Well, give that a break for a bit. See if you still need a behaviourist. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, when you do that, that's obviously the food that I was talking about earlier. Would you like to come over to us and present, at Crufts? And I said, do you know what? I should really, because you guys have kept me in permanent overtime for the last 20 years. It's bloody fantastic food. I love it, because as soon as I change the diet, people think I'm a guru. Oh, wow, look at the difference in the dog.
Yeah.
I've just given you, just 1 or 2 less chemicals.
People like the fact that people thought, you look at it, right, this vibrant colours, this vibrant bowl of shite. It's in the shape of a carrot. It's bright orange. It's not a carrot.
Yeah, but it's peas. It's got bright green peas in it.
So there's a drink called, I don't know, Slosho or whatever it is, and it's got a little warning on it. Could have a detrimental effect on your kid's attention. It actually puts the warning on there. And then the artificial colorants, there's 2 of them, sunset yellow and something red. And they're the same ones that they use in the dog food. I used to do a thing where I used to get the bottle out and pour it into just a dog bowl and say, would you give your dog that to drink instead of water? And they go, no, of course I wouldn't. Yeah, but those additives are in your food. And they go, huh? I said, it's the same stuff. Those artificial colorants are the same. So you're right. The first port of call, the breeder has a lot of responsibility, really. With Jonathan and his new puppy, she did everything. She did quite a lot of imprinting. She did a bit of crate training, a bit of recall stuff. She was doing everything right, but the diet, oh God, the diet was so poor. And so we've had to change over. We're in the process of changing over. So, but I said to him, if you want me to give her a ring about the diet, but they're never going to do it, because I think the thing is that they're not paying for it, so they're not going to listen.
Yeah.
I tend to sort of see that sometimes. If someone asked me to talk to one of his clients and they weren't listening, I said, do you know why you're not listening? It's because you're not paying me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you were paying me, you'd be listening now. I just got up and walked away.
No.
Right, let's talk about equipment. Just this last little bit here on my sheet.
Controversial.
This thing about walking my dog on a harness and a flexi lead. What's wrong with that then? I mean, I'd love to see you compete field trials on a harness with a flexi lead, but I mean, what's so bad about it?
Are you asking me? You're looking at me.
I am, yeah. You wrote the article.
Okay, Ross, you can have the flexi lead. How's that? I'll have the harness.
All right.
All right. Okay. So the design of the harness is the only piece of equipment that, when you put it on your dog before you attach a lead, has a negative impact on the dog's anatomy, because it impacts the rotation of the shoulder girdle. So a dog hasn't got a collarbone, which allows, when it stretches forward, to really bend its back and stretch its front legs. The shoulder blade will glide around the rib cage, and it follows it like smoothly all the way around. But if you put a harness on it, then it'll impede the muscles of the shoulder girdle, because if it's fitted correctly, it will touch the muscle and that will restrict the dog's movement. They've got that element. You've then got the other element of the chest harness, which is the classic Julius canine. that will impact the stride length as well. So you've got those two elements of it, but then you've also got, and that's if they're perfectly fitted, but how many perfectly fitted harnesses do you see? So you've got your perfectly fit harness and it has a detrimental effect on your dog. And then you have all the people who are wearing harnesses, they're too loose, they're being dragged around the side of the dog, and you see them cutting through you know, the tricep muscles on the dog, you see them rotating the rib cage on the dog, and that's once the lead's attached. So it's just, for me, it's a biomechanical issue. That's before you get into the dog being having the opposition reflex. So as soon as you put any pressure on the dog will lean into it. You put a harness on a big, strong dog, it kicks in the opposition reflex, the dog will lean into the harness, and then straight away the owner's pulling back, which then increases the opposition reflex, and it just becomes a real mess, really. And then because of the position of the harness, where the lead attaches, the harness that attaches on the back will be more inclined to trigger a dog to pull. The harness attached to the front will be more inclined to rotate the harness on the dog, and they impact its stride length and its mobility. So I think harnesses are dreadful, but it's the lack of awareness. I think for me, the big thing with harnesses is the sell. You know, they make a lot of money for the manufacturers.
Yeah.
And you can get them from China, get them a $5 from Amazon, do all kinds of damage to the little puppies. You know, the positioning of the front legs is wrong on a lot of the harnesses. You put that on a puppy, and I just think it's an unnecessary piece of equipment. It's necessary for things like tracking, and it's got its place, but for general day-to-day dog walking, I think they're dreadful pieces of equipment.
And it also, just jumping on the back of that, I find as well that, you know, when you've got a clip halfway down the dog's back, you know, it disrupts your communication with the dog completely. It doesn't give you the ability to communicate with the dog when it's on the lead, when you're walking. And equally, it's, you know, when we're working with dog on dog aggression and things like that, it facilitates an unnatural engagement. It kind of pushes the dog, propels the dog forward. So when it's meeting other dogs, instead of meeting other dogs in a normal posture, already it's got its chest puffed out. It's right up here, which is going to cause conflict. So there's lots of reasons. And I think I see people that are like, you know, fair enough, you've got a chihuahua and the harness fits and it's not pulling and you do what you like. But you see people out with these huskies and, you know, malamutes and great big dogs on a harness. And you can't physically, when that dog wants to do, I mean, I saw a woman the other week with a black Labrador. She's got a harness, she cannot physically hold the dog. If that wants to go after another dog, it's going and she's going with it. But if we swap
again,
it,
you know,
check, all good.
Like the question about positive only. If we put a collar on the dog now, I'm going to use the collar. Well, it's cruel. But it's not cruel, is it? Because he's not pulling. He's not pulling as he's walking next to me. So he's not choking himself. It's not a pinch collar. It's just a normal collar. You know, we're sort of going down that. Oh, that's bad. This is bad. This is bad. And we're bad for suggesting it. You know. And, I don't know what we can do. I don't know, like us lot.
I think it's education. I mean, I keep putting things out on harnesses, and I've been talking out about harnesses for 15, 20 years now, but now the research has caught up. So now the research in the lab, there's been quite a few studies done on them now, and all of the studies that have been done have said it has a negative impact on, like, from a physical perspective, let alone going down the behaviour and communication route, as Ross said, the weight distribution is all wrong when you walk a dog on a harness from a communication perspective. But
some of those front affixing harnesses.
Sorry?
Those front affixing harnesses, you know, those ones with the clip at the front and the back. I mean, some of the dogs are walking like crap. It doesn't take.
This is the one that's supposed to stop the dog pulling because it stretches across, and so I don't know what it does.
It's so bloody, it's so uncomfortable. You know, this kind piece of equipment in baby blue or nice pink, it's so uncomfortable for the dog to wear. that it stops them pulling because they can't pull into it. It cuts all into their, their
Right,
elbow.
yeah, the non-pull thing that
Yeah,
it digs in here.
yeah, all across their muscles, and it just puts
Awful.
their whole gait out of alignment. Do you know what I mean? Doing that every single day, twice a day or whatever,
Yeah.
walking like some crab. I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't take a physiotherapist to work out that's going to cause some damage, does it?
Absolutely. Flexi-lead, Ross?
Oh, flexi lead. Well, I occasionally I'll use a flexi lead, like a size 8 with the ribbon in it rather than the cord. When I'm transitioning to working dog on dog aggression,
Okay.
I will transition from a lead and a muzzle to a flexi lead and a muzzle, just because it gives us a bit more control than a long line.
You don't use a long line.
Not often with clients with, you always use a long line for all sorts of stuff, but not with clients when we're transitioning, when we've got a step to a stage where dogs are greeting other dogs and not mullering them, and we want to get transition to getting off the lead with a muzzle
Okay.
on, then I'll use a flexi lead, like I said, size 8 kind of thing for all dogs, not that cord thing. And that just helps us for a short time. But ultimately, typically, my opinion of flexi leads is that they're really dangerous. I see people walking down the road, the dog's like 8 meters ahead of them on a busy road. If the dog goes into, sees a squirrel or a cat or whatever, it's done. You haven't got time to press a button or recall it in. And also, the injuries that it causes to people, physical injuries to, cutting through people's legs, their hands, the clips break and come back and fly in your face. People drop the end of the flexi lead and it charges up behind the dog legs it, being chased by this flexi lead. They're a disaster.
That was in London. I didn't go to that job, but the guy dropped the thing. It chased the dog. It was open, so that it was clipped on. So the dog started running, and then if you ever look at an old brick wall where the cement has gone between the bricks, there's a little gap. This dog sort of jumped over the wall, and the thin cord got caught in that little bit of concrete, and he couldn't find the dog. And then when he did find him, he bloody hung himself. And he was just being scared of the box.
You see it quite often, and I think they are quite, like I said, that I found they have their place occasionally, but typically, I mean, to exercise a dog on a flex, it's just dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't go safe lead. We teach safe lead, and you can't go safe lead with a plastic box.
No.
Like you say, if you're using something like that piece of equipment for your behavioural, and you know what you're doing, I tend to use a long line, but yeah, I've done a lot of tracking, so I'm pretty okay with a long line, but a lot of people aren't. So that might be a good transition, as you say, but difference between a professional doing it and just Joe Schmo walking down the road. And like you said, dogs so far in front. I think my wife was walking through the town and the guy walked across and the dog was over here and she just shouts at them,
Yeah.
But the lead's going across her leg.
Yeah. But I think, I mean, to be honest, even when I do use a flexi lead, like with clients, the dog doesn't wear it to the park. We go to the park on a lead and a collar. We get to the park, we change the equipment because they're not safe to be walking down the street with because the clips are
No, it's just a piece of kit that you use, in your bag.
Yeah, short period of time, but no, they're not safe. They're amazing how many people use them. I mean, the dog doesn't need to be 8 meters ahead of you walking down the street when you're going to the shop, does it?
No,
Does it not? I thought it did.
Here's a good one. What's wrong with your dog wearing clothes? It's really funny when you ask someone like, behaviourist and a gun dog trainer, and you say, "Can you go to a field trials championship and have a little coat on the dog?" What's wrong with your dog wearing clothes then? Because there's a lot of money to be made there. Us three, we're the stupid ones because we do all this crap training, but we get slagged off for doing it. But at the end of the day, all we need to do is sell shit food and clothes. We could have a little shop with loads of little clothes in and harnesses, and we make a fortune.
That's the trouble. That's the trouble with having morals, isn't it?
You wouldn't need to get qualified and go to university and write books. Just have a catalogue with a load of crap clothes in it, and
absolutely.
yeah. So What were you going to say, Ross? Sorry.
No, I was saying, I can't remember what. Oh no, I said that's the problem with having morals, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you sell your soul and you just, say what people want to hear and sell what they want to buy, then we'll all be in a better position than we are now, probably. But we're not. We're honest, and we've got some integrity.
I did it once. I've got to be brutally honest. I'd just done my first series on the telly, and I got asked to do a stall at Crufts, a dog food that is delivered to your house. Again, I'd been slagging that food off for 20 years, and then they said, "We'll put you up at the Hilton next door."
Oh, I bet that did it for you.
4 nights. Plus, I think it was about $1,500 for 4 days, not 4 half days, and we went to Greece. I remember we bought holiday to Greece on it. We had a really good time. And someone said, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And I went, "Yeah, I'm going on holiday after this, and they're paying for it. Plus, I'm staying in the Hilton next door. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner." Yeah, and I've got to be honest, I did feel bad because what I did, I went to another dog food company that I knew really well, sold good quality food, and I said to the guy, I'm on another stall, but have you got a load of cards? And when people were seriously asking me questions about diet and stuff, I'd say, if you take this card, go and see matey on stall 15. We'll go through it. It's got no additives, no artificial colorants. It's really good food. Not like this crap. Don't buy this. This is shit. Shit in the bag. Clothes. What about clothes?
Depends what you mean by clothes.
So little outfits, basically, for your dog. With mummy's best friend.
I think some of the outfits will leave the dog. I mean, apart from the dog could overheat and it's affecting the proprioceptive system and all of that, I think it can leave the dog open to be attacked by other dogs.
Okay.
We were at club one time and it was Christmas and some of the dogs came dressed up. My Labrador was ready to retrieve every single dog because all of them looked like toys.
Oh, right. Yeah, big toy.
Yeah, he was looking at these dogs dressed up and he was like, "Okay, which one do you want me to fetch first?" So I think
I never thought of that.
Yeah, I think it can leave dogs open to attack. Definitely.
That's really interesting. I never thought of that. Because it's all about the visual thing, isn't it? If you've got if you've got a sausage dog with a little cardigan on, which I saw yesterday, to a retrieving dog, that would be like a toy, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So there's that side of it, and I think it, apart from attack, but it can bring too much attention to the dog, so it can make a nervous dog even more nervous because people go, "Oh, isn't it cute?" and they want to go over it and stroke it. And so from a behaviour perspective, I just think why? I think all it's doing is it's dishonouring the dog, showing a complete lack of respect, and it's changing how people look at the dog, and so it's changing their attitude towards it. So rather than looking at it as a social predator and treating it like a dog, they start looking on them like babies in fur coats. And I just think it completely messes with the headset of the people owning them, and it can bring too much unwanted attention to the dog as well.
I think, like you said, it's just disrespectful a lot of the time. I mean, there are dogs that need to wear coats and stuff when they go out walking in various types of weather or whatever. But
I don't class coats as like that side. I think coats are needed, but it's the dressing up.
Yeah, I think the one yesterday, someone sent me a video, and it was a little sausage dog. It was actually in Argentina, and I said, "What the hell's he got on?" And it was a cardigan, a little woolly cardigan. I mean, in the heat that they've got anyway, and it's got this stupid coat thing on, not a coat, like a little woolly jumper. And he was sort of wobbling around, and I thought, he can hardly walk in that. He's walking side, like he was tottering off to the right. And I don't know.
That's what people want, though, isn't it? They don't want a dog, they want a fur baby. And you dress your fur babies up. That's what you do.
Yeah. What does the serious trainer think of that then? Fur baby. I mean, what's that all about?
What is that about?
They all say it, don't they?
It's all you see all this stuff. I tell you what annoys me the most is not fur bait. It's this new like because you're not a dog owner anymore, are you? You're a
Oh, don't.
pet parent or whatever else you
Guardian.
want to be.
You're a
Yeah,
guardian.
just a nightmare.
There's someone well known who, what does she call it? She's got a stupid name for it. Not companion or anything like that.
Canine carer.
Caregiver.
Caregiver,
Not
yeah.
handler. Not handler anymore. Caregiver.
Caregiver.
And oh, right, okay.
But it takes away the responsibility of the owner. It's like at the end of the day, you own the dog, you're responsible for the dog. And legally, you're the dog's owner. This caregiver nonsense is just, to me, it's a cop out.
Well, if you bought it, you own it, don't you?
You bought it, you own it, you deal with it.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
A puppy parent with a fur baby. Wonder what Barbara Woodhouse would have thought about that.
Oh, what, you'll be stoned at dawn for saying that?
Barbara Woodhouse, who once said about going back to dog food, the lady said, "Oh, my dog doesn't like this food or whatever." And Barbara Woodhouse said, "What possible interest could I have in what your dog likes or doesn't like? You're going to feed that food and he's going to eat it. If he doesn't eat it today, he'll eat it tomorrow, because don't give him anything else."
Mm-hmm.
But it was just black and white, and we have come a long way, but there was a lot of stuff there that I watched it recently on the BBC, and I thought, yeah, I mean that's a bit odd, but why don't we still do that? Why don't we still do that?
Mm.
Just say it as it is, and just tell the truth, for Christ's sake.
Well, I think when you started this interview, you were saying this interview that it feels like
it's like a job, Ross.
It feels like we're under caution. But
Yeah.
no, when you started,
I forgot that bit.
In your interrogation.
When you started, you were saying about what do we think about positive training and the impact on dangerous dogs or dogs out of control, whatever. And when you look back at those training methods, and like you said, things have improved greatly. So we don't want to rewind back to early 70s or whatever, do we? We've learned a lot and we do a lot better now. However, we've gone a bit far the other way, haven't we? Because actually, when you look back at those dogs, and they were trained, some of the methods were harsh and they, on young puppies and things, but it gave you a result. And those dogs probably had a much better quality of life, being obedient, being off lead in the park, walking to heel, going more places than a lot of the dogs now, because we've gone a bit too far, crazy.
Not getting told off all the time. Because there's no boundaries, they seem to be getting told off all the time. Oh, look at what he's done now. Look what he's done now. Oh, you stupid dog. And it's not the dog's fault. You're a crap handler, is it?
No, it creates conflict and confusion, doesn't it? Which is not, which is the opposite of what we need.
Okay, so how can, maybe just to round that last bit there, I just want to know, how can I, if I was coming to you guys, how can I become a trainer? How can I take that step? We know that you've got your professional entry. Maybe I was a handler and then someone said, what about making the transition into instructor? Or there's the club member who gets the opportunity to take a round of obedience and then do some retrieving or whatever, or someone who I don't know, so you've got your professional, someone who, the academic, I suppose you've got the academic entry.
There's lots of academics that like to give their opinions on stuff, isn't there? There's lots of them about.
Oh yeah.
I've read quite a lot of stuff, and some of it is absolute dross. I remember thinking, God, I wish I was more articulate. I wish I'd studied more at school, so the stuff I can say and do, I could write down. And then I was thinking, because these guys are writing stuff and it makes no sense at all, absolutely no sense at all. The dog is not a pack animal. There's no such thing as dominance. Yeah, that's another one. Barry Eaton.
Barry Eaton, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, I mean, he
rocked
wrote
the world.
Yeah, no such thing as dominance. And studying, I don't know, 3 or 4 dogs in a kennel environment, in Bristol or wherever, where I was lucky enough to watch pack animal, a whole pack, some big dogs, pit bulls, and all sorts abroad, and you knew straight away which one was the pack leader. There was a pack, so there is a pack, because when he comes out, they all go down on the floor. They all know what the score is, and I remember thinking, God, I read all this stuff and I've worked and all that, but I'm actually watching it now. And so how do I become a trainer?
I think, from my
guy
perspective,
who's listening to this now, and he's thinking, well, yeah, I could do what they do. What should they do?
Are you talking dog trainer? Are you talking behaviourist?
Yeah, I think a bit of both. We can go Ross on the behaviour and Les on the training.
All right.
Okay.
So I reckon, from my perspective, obviously come to the Cambridge Institute, but no, I think you've got to immerse yourself in everything. Don't just read a book and believe what you see, because there's so much information out there that's completely factually incorrect. It sounds, it makes sense, it reads well, but there's a massive difference between what you read in theory and how that's delivered in practice. So for me, it's just immerse yourself in everything dog. Go and volunteer at your local rescue centre, find training classes to go and work at. Train your dog, go and see different kind of disciplines, go and do some scent work, go and do some trials, go and watch some agility, just see everything across the board. And then ultimately, I think to work in behaviour, you need to kind of either find someone that practices already that will allow you to go with them, which will be very difficult, or you embark on courses delivered by people that have actually worked in the industry.
Yeah, perfect. And
it's pretty much the same as a trainer, really. I would say, to start off with, if you're going to be a trainer, you need to be able to train your own dog to a really high standard, and go to different training classes and see how different training classes are run. And then, as Ross said, do some serious reading, and not just, the thing to remember is websites are just people's opinions, and they're not gospel. So you read as much as you can, and then find your own true north, if you like, work out what works for you, what works for your dog. And then be open-minded, to know that just because it works for your dog doesn't mean it's going to work for every dog.
You really have to keep your eyes and your mind open. You can't just read something and go. You have to keep your eyes open. So many people get led to follow a bizarre ideology that blatantly is not working. They can see it's not working and they blindly follow it like a religion. Keep your eyes open, keep your mind open, do what works, because ultimately we all need to earn a living from this, and people will pay you to get a result. They don't pay you for a lesson in ethology or you know, endless repetition of something,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I think that's great. You've got your cherry picker who comes in and thinks, well, I only like that bit, or I only like that bit, but you've got to get your own style. So learn different techniques. I learned that a long time ago, and it wasn't so bad for me because I was very popular. But I know that certainly some of the guys I joined with, they'd ask some of the older guys, how'd you do send away? How'd you do? Oh, go and fucking find out. And it was because I'd already done a bit of work in trials. I just went back to them. And then within a year, I'd done quite well in the trials. And, you're only good at trials. Yeah, but then I did get the most arrests this year as well, didn't I? So, so that wasn't just because of being a dog handler. It was probably because I was all right as a policeman. So, and I was on a unit before that, SPG. So what you got to do is keep your knowledge up. And then the big turning point for me was that I started studying behaviour, and they really didn't want to know about that. You know, I said, "Oh, I'm doing a course," and what are you doing that shit for? I said, "Because I think there's more to it."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then I did a nutrition course. That's when the diet thing started. When I learned more about diet. And did you do know that our food isn't very good? Oh, what do you know about it? Well, I've just done a nutrition course, 12 months. Oh, right. He seems to know what he's talking about. So that changed the way we looked at stuff. And then now there's elements in the instructor's course which follow behavior as well, and all of those things that we first started, but we had to do it on our own. You know, they weren't going to give us this stuff. We had to pay for it and do our own courses. But I always wanted to do that when I left anyway, so it worked out for me. Yeah, that's my list really.
Hey.
Wowzers.
That's the interview over. Got the job. You've got the job.
Thank you. Glad to hear it.
There's loads there. I can't wait till this one comes out, because I've got a thing about I don't know why I call it oppression reflex, because it's not. But since day one, I've always called it oppression reflex. And then you said it, and I thought, oh, there's that word again. Try and remember the right word, because I kept saying, you know, just push against me. Yeah, oppression reflex. I used it a lot and always said the wrong word. And when you said it, I thought, I've got to write these down.
Got to write it down.
What did Ross say? Ross said something about. He said, "Write this down. I've got to use these words." I know what I'm doing. I just can't even say it.
Ross uses all the right words. He's terrible. I get all emotional and passionate, and Ross comes out with all of these correct words.
I think it's great. I think you know what the listeners learn from this episode is that you know, normally you'd be talking to someone else or getting information from someone else, but this time we've heard what you guys are thinking about certain things, and you know, and I think it's a good thing that the people listening to the podcast are picking up what you're thinking about, and a bit more about you guys.
Well, we're always ready for a rant, aren't we? We're always up for a moan and a whinge.
Always up for a good rant.
And yeah, I think I hit the right buttons there anyway. So it's all the stuff, isn't it? That, yeah, diet, harnesses, positive only. You know, it's all of those things that we get hit with a lot. You know, and what I don't like is that thing that we're seen as in some way cruel, or like you said, Ross, that we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't like dogs. We don't set out to hurt dogs. We're not going to hurt your dog, but we're going to say, no, you can't do that. Stop doing that. Do this instead. Look, this is much better. You get rewards for this. No, you still can't fucking do that. Do this instead. And sooner or later, they'll learn to do it. But one of the things that I've said in the past was that Billy the burglar walks past your house, and you look out your window and you see him looking in. And so what you do is you go outside and say, Billy, here's a $5. Don't break into my house. Oh, right. Okay. Do you think Billy will come back tomorrow for another $5? Probably. But if you went out there and said, Billy, if you come near my fucking house, I'll break your legs, he's probably going to stay away. So the idea that positive reinforcement works with Billy, well, it certainly doesn't, because he's just going to keep doing the same stupid thing over and over again by coming back to your house. And it's a bit like that with the old dog that's hanging on your arm.
Thing is, we all have consequences, don't we? Nobody gives you a Mars bar or 50 quid if you stop at a red light. You know, if you don't stop at the red light, you're in trouble, right? But if you do, then we just ignore it.
Yeah,
exactly.
The consequences for actions every time.
Across all species, that works across all species, doesn't it? That's just how it is.
It does. It does.
Yeah, we know, don't we? We know, guys. So, thank you very much. So that was.
Thank you very much for that.
Gun Dogs and Guard Dogs podcast with Mic Martin, Les Graham, and Ross McCarthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thanks, Mick.
Thanks for listening. It's not just gun dogs and not just guard dogs, but all things canine, as we hope you have discovered. Please like, share and subscribe and help us spread a bit of common sense back into dog ownership. And a review wouldn't go amiss either. Catch up with Lez and Ross again in about 14 days for more canine conversations. Until next time, stay well and enjoy your dogs. Any dog-related questions or topics, just drop an email to talk@cfba.uk or message us via facebook.com/gundogs and guard dogs podcast.